Welcome back to the channel Numisma Hub Coin Enthusiasts. Today, we're diving into the fascinating history of the 1972 United States Kennedy half dollar. Let's get the satire at top 2 first up. The year 1972 marked another chapter in the story of the Kennedy half dollar, a coin that had already cemented itself as a powerful symbol of American history and national pride. First introduced in 1964, the Kennedy half dollar was created as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy, who was tragically assassinated in November 1963. Just 9 years later, in 1972, the coin was still in heavy circulation, but changes in its metal composition and production marked it as a unique period in U.S. coinage history. By 1972, the half dollar was minted primarily at 2 U.S. mint facilities, Philadelphia and Denver, with additional collector versions struck at the San Francisco Mint. This was part of a larger national strategy to ensure that the Kennedy half dollar remained widely available for both commerce and collectors. However, circulation was slowly decreasing, as the public often hoarded Kennedy halves as keepsakes rather than spending the design of the 1972 half dollar remained consistent with earlier issues, featuring the iconic portrait of President Kennedy on the obverse, designed by Chief Engraver Gilroy Roberts. This strong and dignified profile reflected the nation's enduring respect for Kennedy's legacy, even years after his passing. The reverse side featured the presidential seal, created by Frank Gasparo, with an eagle holding arrows and an olive branch, surrounded by 50 stars. The 1972 Kennedy half dollar was struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition, unlike the earliest 1964 version, which had been minted in 90% silver. The decision to move away from silver coins in circulation came in 1965, largely due to rising silver prices, which made it impractical to continue striking silver coins for everyday use. By 1972, the clad copper-nickel alloy was the standard. Interestingly, the removal of silver from circulation coins did not stop the U.S. Mint from producing special collector versions. In 1972, proof sets were available to the public, struck in San Francisco with high-quality mirror-like finishes. These coins were cherished by collectors and never intended for regular circulation, giving the year 1972 a dual identity: a coin for the people and a coin for the collectors. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 153 million Kennedy half dollars in 1972, while the Denver Mint struck more than 141 million. Together, this massive mintage ensured that the coin would be plentiful, but it also meant that most examples were common and readily available, both then and now. However, condition plays a major role in the value of these coins today. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1972 Kennedy half dollar is the existence of a rare variety known as the 1972 D-No-FG. On some Denver minted coins, the initials FG, which stand for Frank Gasparo, were accidentally omitted from the reverse. These missing initials occurred due to overpolished dies and became a well-known variety that collectors chase today. The No-FG error added excitement to the otherwise common 1972 issue. Collectors who examined their Kennedy halves closely might spot the absence of Gasparo's initials, located between the eagle's tail feathers and right leg. Finding this error in higher grades can turn an ordinary half dollar worth 50 cents into a valuable treasure worth hundreds of dollars. Another interesting feature of the 1972 Kennedy half dollar is the subtle differences in strike quality between Philadelphia and Denver issues. Coins from the Denver Mint often have a stronger strike, while Philadelphia coins sometimes display weaker details, especially on Kennedy's hair and the eagle's feathers. For collectors, these small details influence which mint mark to pursue. The role of the San Francisco Mint in 1972 was equally important. That year, it produced both clad and silver-proof coins, adding another layer of variety. The 1972 S silver proofs contained 40% silver, continuing a tradition of producing silver half dollars specifically for collectors, even though circulating versions no longer contained any precious metal. The public's relationship with the Kennedy half dollar in 1972 was complex. While many people loved the coin as a symbol of honor and respect for a fallen president, fewer and fewer actually used it in daily commerce. Many Americans prefer to save their half dollars in drawers, albums, or jars, treating them as souvenirs rather than spending money. In terms of design, the 1972 Kennedy half dollar carried the same sharp, clean features that had made it popular from the start. Kennedy's profile exuded youth and strength, while the reverse design reminded the public of the nation's presidential authority. This made the coin not just a piece of currency, but also a circulating memorial. Despite its popularity, the Kennedy half-dollar circulation had already begun to decline by 1972. This was due in part to the removal of silver and in part to its larger size, which made it less convenient compared to quarters and smaller denominations. Many vending machines also did not accept half dollars, which limited their practicality. Nevertheless, coin collectors found reasons to celebrate the 1972 issue. The large mintage meant that uncirculated rolls were readily available, and the era varieties provided challenges for specialists. As a result, the 1972 Kennedy half dollar has a place in nearly every serious Kennedy half collection. Over the years, the coin has gained historical importance as a representation of its era. The early 1970s were a time of transition in U.S. coinage, moving fully away from silver circulation coins and into the modern clad era. The 1972 Kennedy half dollar captures this moment perfectly. For modern collectors, the value of a 1972 Kennedy half dollar depends heavily on its condition, mint mark, and whether it carries the rare no-FG variety. A circulated example is usually worth only face value, while pristine mint state examples can be worth several dollars. Era coins, however, can command much higher prices. Proof coins from 1972 are especially prized, particularly the silver proof struck in San Francisco. These coins feature stunning mirror-like surfaces and deep cameo contrasts, which make them stand out from their circulation strike counterparts. Today, they are highly collectible and often included in proof sets. The 1972 Kennedy half dollar also holds sentimental value. For many Americans, it represented both a tribute to John F. Kennedy and a connection to a period of rapid change in the United States. This emotional attachment kept the coin popular, even as practical use declined. Looking back, the 1972 Kennedy half dollar stands as a bridge between two eras, the silver past of American coinage and the modern clad future. Its story includes both mass production and rare varieties, widespread saving and limited use, making it a fascinating coin for historians and collectors alike. In conclusion, the 1972 United States Kennedy half dollar is more than just a piece of money. It is a reflection of a nation honoring a fallen leader, adapting to economic realities, and transitioning into a new era of coinage. Whether common or rare, circulated or proof, silver or clad, the 1972 Kennedy half dollar continues to capture the imagination of collectors and stands as a lasting piece of American history. Next up, the 1980 Kennedy half dollar is an important piece in the long legacy of American coinage, specifically in the series of half dollars that honor President John F. Kennedy. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the D. Mint mark placed on the obverse of the coin, just below Kennedy's portrait. Its creation continued the tradition of producing half dollars that not only functioned as currency, but also served as lasting tributes to the 35th President of the United States, who was tragically assassinated in 1963. The Kennedy half dollar series began in 1964, 1 year after President Kennedy's death, when the United States Mint, Congress, and the American people called for a coin that would forever honor him. The design was executed by Chief Engraver Gilroy Roberts, who created the obverse featuring Kennedy's bust, and Frank Gasparo, who designed the reverse with the presidential seal. By 1980, the coin was already a well-recognized and cherished part of American numismatic history. The 1980 Kennedy half dollar was minted in very large quantities, totaling over 33 million pieces, ensuring that it circulated widely throughout the United States. At this time, half dollars were still used in commerce, though not nearly as frequently as quarters or dimes. Their production numbers remained strong due to collector interest and the symbolic value of the Kennedy design. The composition of the 1980 Kennedy half dollar reflected the shift made in 1971, when silver was removed from regular circulating half dollars. Unlike the 1964 version that was struck in 90% silver and the 1965 to 1970 coin struck in 40% silver. The 1980 D was made of a copper-nickel clad composition. This meant the coin's outer layers consisted of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. On the obverse of the coin, the central image of President Kennedy remains one of the most iconic portraits in U.S. coinage. His strong, forward-facing profile symbolizes leadership, vision, and resilience. The inscriptions include Liberty along the top, In God We Trust below his chin, and the date 1980 beneath the portrait, with the D mint mark marking Denver's production. The reverse of the coin displays the presidential seal, which is a heraldic eagle holding an olive branch in one talon and a bundle of arrows in the other. Above the eagle's head is a ring of stars, symbolizing unity among the states, and a banner reading, E Pluribus Unum. The legend United States of America arcs above, with $50 at the bottom. This design conveys patriotism and American strength. The Denver Mint, where the 1980 D coin was struck, was known for producing coins in very high volumes, ensuring widespread circulation. This mint, located in Colorado, had been one of the primary production sites for U.S. coinage since the early 20th century. Coins struck in Denver are easily recognized by the distinctive D mint mark. By 1980, the $50 was beginning to lose its role in everyday commerce. While quarters, dimes, and nickels were used heavily, the $50 often remained in banks or coin rolls. Many Americans began collecting Kennedy $50 instead of spending them, which is why these coins are frequently found in well-preserved condition today. The 1980 D Kennedy $50 mintage of more than 33 million made it far from rare, but condition plays an important role in its value. While circulated examples are worth face value, coins in higher grades, such as Mint State, MS-65 or higher, can command a premium among collectors. Proof-like strikes and coins with exceptional luster are particularly desirable. Another important aspect for collectors is errors and varieties. Although the 1980 D Kennedy $50 is not famous for many major varieties, there are occasional error coins, including off-center strikes, double dies, or planchet flaws. These rare minting mistakes significantly increase the value of an otherwise common date. The cultural significance of the Kennedy $50 cannot be overlooked. Even in 1980, nearly 2 decades after Kennedy's death, his image remained a powerful reminder of his legacy. For many Americans, collecting or simply holding a Kennedy $50 carried emotional meaning, making the coin both a practical currency and a piece of history. In terms of size and weight, the 1980 D Kennedy $50 measures 30.6 millimeters in diameter and weighs 11.34 grams. Its reeded edge and metallic luster give it a striking appearance, one that stood out compared to smaller denominations. Its larger format also allowed the portrait of Kennedy and the presidential seal to be displayed in more detail. The year 1980 itself was a significant time in American history. It was the final year of President Jimmy Carter's administration, leading into the election of Ronald Reagan. Against this backdrop of political change, the Kennedy $50 continued to circulate, symbolizing a connection to an earlier era of leadership and hope. Collectors often compare the 1980 D with the 1980 P Philadelphia Mint and the 1980 S San Francisco Mint proof coins. Each version carries its own significance. The Denver issue was intended primarily for circulation, while the San Francisco proofs were struck with polished dies for collectors, making them more visually appealing and scarcer in the marketplace. The durability of the copper-nickel clad composition ensured that many 1980 D Kennedy $50 have survived in excellent condition. Unlike earlier silver coins, which often develop toning or wear more quickly, clad coins tended to resist tarnishing. This has made it easier for collectors to find uncirculated or near-gem specimens. As time passed, the role of the Kennedy $50 shifted more toward numismatics than commerce. By the late 20th century, most $50, including the 1980 D, were kept by collectors, coin enthusiasts, or people who cherished them as keepsakes. This contributed to the preservation of millions of examples in high quality. In terms of value, the 1980 D. Kennedy half dollar is generally modest, but higher-grade certified examples can sell for significantly more than face value. Coins graded MS-67 or higher are scarce and can attract strong demand from collectors aiming to complete a Kennedy half-dollar set. The Kennedy half-dollar series as a whole has played an important role in keeping American history alive. Each date and mint mark tells a story of the era in which it was produced, and the 1980 D is no exception. It reflects not only the mint's craftsmanship, but also the enduring respect for John F. Kennedy's memory. Today, the 1980 D. Kennedy half dollar is a popular coin among both beginner and seasoned collectors. Beginners often start with Kennedy half dollars because of their affordability and historical connection, while advanced collectors look for high-grade examples or unusual varieties to add to their collections. In conclusion, the 1980 D. Kennedy half dollar is more than just a coin. It is a symbol of history, patriotism, and remembrance. Though produced in large numbers and relatively easy to find, it remains an integral part of American numismatic heritage. For those who hold it, the coin serves as both a piece of circulating money and a timeless tribute to one of America's most beloved presidents. Thank you for joining me on this numismatic journey, and stay tuned for more fascinating coin histories that might just inspire your own collection. Folded Hand Sparkles.